gleaming towers of crystal and gold, concentric canals mirroring a perfect blue sky. A civilization of demigods, masters of wisdom and technology, all living in harmony. And then, in a single day and night of fire and flood, it all vanished beneath the waves. This is the Atlantis we all think we know. It's the ultimate legend of a lost golden age, a story that has haunted our collective imagination for millennia and inspired countless books, movies, and treasure hunts. It's a tale so powerful that many have come to believe Atlantis was a real place, a forgotten chapter of history waiting to be rediscovered. But what if, for over 2,000 years, we've all been missing the point? What if the search for a sunken island is a distraction from a much deeper mystery? The true origin of Atlantis is far more shocking than just a lost city. It's a secret warning, hidden in plain sight by one of history's greatest philosophers, and it's more relevant today than ever. To find the real Atlantis, we don't need sonar or submarines. We need to decode the message it was always meant to send. First, let's revisit the legend that has enchanted the world. The story goes that far out in the Atlantic, beyond the Pillars of Heracles, there was an island empire of incredible splendor. Founded by Poseidon, the god of the sea, Atlantis was a paradise. Its fertile plains yielded 2 harvests a year, its mountains held precious metals, and its architects engineered a breathtaking capital, a marvel of concentric rings of land and water, connected by massive canals and bridges. The Atlanteans were said to be more than human. Descended from a god, they were noble, wise, and lived for generations in peace and prosperity. Their society was a testament to human potential, and they possessed power that was nearly absolute. But, as the story goes, their divine blood thinned over time. With each generation, their human nature grew stronger, and with it came greed, arrogance, and an insatiable lust for power. Their virtue corrupted, the Atlanteans launched a campaign of conquest to enslave the known world. It was then, at the peak of their hubris, that the gods turned against them. The earth shook, the seas raged, and in one terrible day and night, the magnificent island of Atlantis, with all its glory and inhabitants, was swallowed by the ocean, never to be seen again. It's a tragic, romantic, and irresistible tale, a ghost story on a global scale. But where did this incredible story actually come from? The answer might surprise you. Every single mention of Atlantis, every theory, every treasure map, every expedition can be traced back to just one man, the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. The story doesn't appear in any other independent historical text from the ancient world. Not from the Egyptians, not from the Romans, not from any other culture that existed at the time. It originates solely from 2 of Plato's dialogues, the Timaeus and the Critias, written around 360 BC. In these texts, a character named Critias tells a story he claims was passed down through his family for generations. The tale supposedly came from the Athenian lawmaker Solon, who, on a trip to Egypt, was told by a priest about a long-forgotten war between ancient Athens and the mighty island of Atlantis. According to the priest, this war took place 9,000 years before their time. Plato, through his characters, describes the city's geography, its politics, and its eventual downfall in vivid detail. And this is where the real mystery begins. For centuries, many have taken Plato's account as literal history. But there's a critical piece of context that changes everything. Plato was a philosopher, not a historian. His life's work wasn't about recording past events. It was about exploring ideas, justice, truth, and the ideal society. He was a master of using stories and allegories to make his points, most famously his allegory of the cave. This brings us to the central question that has fueled the Atlantis debate for centuries. Was Plato recording a lost chapter of history, or did he invent Atlantis for another, more profound purpose? This is the fork in the road. Down one path are the explorers and dreamers, searching for a physical pin on a map. They've looked everywhere, from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, and from Antarctica to the coast of Africa. But the other path leads us somewhere else entirely. It suggests that the real treasure isn't buried under the ocean, but is embedded in the words of the text itself. What if Atlantis was never a place, but an idea. A powerful thought experiment designed to teach a timeless lesson. If we follow this path, the enigma of Atlantis transforms from an archaeological puzzle into a philosophical detective story. Before we dive down that philosophical rabbit hole, it's worth acknowledging the biggest attempts to locate a real, physical Atlantis. For decades, the leading candidate has been the Minoan civilization, which flourished on Crete and nearby islands around 4,000 years ago. The Minoans were an advanced Bronze Age society with magnificent palaces, incredible art, and a powerful navy. Around 1600 BC, the volcanic island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, erupted in one of the most violent explosions in human history. The eruption triggered a colossal tsunami that would have devastated the coastal cities of the Minoans, helping to bring an end to their golden age. The parallels are tantalizing. An advanced island civilization, connected to the sea, wiped out by a sudden cataclysm. Could this be the event that inspired Plato's story? It's a compelling theory, but the problems are significant. Plato claimed Atlantis existed 9,000 years before his time, not a mere 1-200. He also placed it beyond the Pillars of Heracles, meaning out in the Atlantic Ocean, not the Aegean Sea. And while the Thera eruption was catastrophic, it didn't sink an entire continent-sized island, as Plato described. Other theories are even more speculative. Some point to a circular formation in the Sahara Desert called the Richau structure. Others claim underwater rock formations like the Bimini Road are Atlantean highways. But none of these locations have produced any conclusive proof. No inscriptions, no artifacts, no ruins that can be definitively identified as Atlantean. The search has always come up empty. What if the hunt for a physical location is a wild goose chase? What if we've been asking the wrong question all along? Before we uncover the secret Plato embedded in his story, let us know in the comments which Atlantis theory you find most compelling. The search for this lost city has captivated so many, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're enjoying this journey into the past, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our future investigations. The key to unlocking the enigma of Atlantis is to stop reading Plato like a historian and start reading him like a philosopher. When you do, the story stops being about a lost continent and becomes a powerful, brilliant political allegory. Plato was writing in a deeply troubled time. His beloved Athens had just lost a devastating war, its democracy was fragile, and he was deeply concerned about the corrupting influence of wealth, power, and imperial ambition. He had even watched his own mentor, Socrates, be condemned to death by the state. So, he designed a cautionary tale, a myth to serve as a mirror for his own society. In his story, Atlantis is the villain. It's the embodiment of everything Plato feared. A materialistic naval empire with limitless resources, incredible technology, and a hunger for conquest. It represents hubris and moral decay. But many retellings of the myth forget the other half of the story. Who was the enemy that this mighty Atlantean empire tried and failed to conquer? It was an ancient, idealized version of Athens. Plato presents this ancient Athens as the perfect state, the physical manifestation of the ideal society he described in his famous work, The Republic. This Athens is modest, virtuous, and courageous. It is everything Atlantis is not. The story of Atlantis isn't just about a lost city. It's about the battle between two opposing ideologies. It's a war between a corrupt, materialistic superpower and a small, righteous society. And in Plato's tale, the small, virtuous Athens wins. The divine punishment that sinks Atlantis isn't just a random natural disaster, it's a judgment on their character. The message Plato was sending to his fellow Athenians was crystal clear. This is what happens when a society rots from the inside. This is the price of hubris. This is the fate that awaits us if we abandon our virtues for power and greed. Atlantis wasn't a memory of the past. It was a warning for the future. So, the true enigma of Atlantis isn't where it is, but what it is. For over 2,000 years, we've been searching the ocean floor for a city that was most likely built not of stone, but of ideas. The legend is not history, but something far more potent. A myth with a purpose. It's a timeless warning about the fragility of civilization and the eternal struggle between wisdom and arrogance, moderation and excess. The story persists not because we think we'll find gold in the depths, but because we see its reflection in our own world. We see the dangers of unchecked ambition, the lure of materialism, and the corrupting nature of power playing out in the headlines every day. The myth of Atlantis forces us to ask ourselves what kind of society we are, and what kind we want to be. The search for the lost city continues, not with sonar pings in the dark abyss, but in the quiet contemplation of our own choices. The enigma of Atlantis has always been, and will always be, about us.